My mother came over to pick up her grandson for the weekend and saw an empty refrigerator. Daughter, why is the child hungry? You earn $50,000 a year. Then my husband came out of the bathroom, scratching his belly, and brazenly declared, I give all her salary to my mom, and the child can go hungry. Then my mother took off her boots and did something that made my husband wish he'd never been born. But before I begin, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and enjoy the story. Tatiana never expected anyone to solve her problems for her. At 32 years old, she earned $50,000 a year, managed the sales department at a large IT company, and thought her life had turned out pretty well. A rented apartment downtown, a car, confidence in tomorrow. Her mother always told her, Tanya, don't count on and be your own boss. And Tatiana was her mother, Vera, lived 2 hours away from the city in a small town where she kept a small ranch. A strong woman of 63, with hands accustomed to hard work and a direct gaze that tolerated no lies. After her father left the family when Tatiana was 10, her mother raised her and her brother alone. She worked 3 jobs, didn't complain, didn't cry, just did what needed to be done. Mom, let me send you money, hire some help, Tatiana would offer when she started earning well. I don't need help, I can manage myself, Vera would reply. Better spend it on yourself, on proper housing, on your future. They would call each other once a week, see each other once a month. Tatiana would come to her mother's on weekends, help with the chores, talk about work. Vera would listen, nod, and give short but accurate advice. Between them was that rare connection when many words aren't needed. IT work. Tatiana was respected. She didn't yell or throw tantrums. But when she spoke, people listened. She knew how to get what she wanted, knew how to put people in their place. Her subordinates were a bit afraid of her. Management valued her. One of her colleagues once said, You're iron, Tanya. Nothing can break through to you. Tatiana smiled. I just know my worth. Her personal life wasn't working out. She dated different men, but relationships ended quickly. Either the guy seemed too soft to her or too pushy. Some wanted her to quit work and stay home. Others didn't understand Adele why she needed a career. Tatiana didn't worry about it. Better alone than with just anyone. Her day started at 7 a.m. Shower, coffee, drive to the office. By 9, she was already at her desk, checking email, planning the day's tasks. She managed a team of 12 people, sales managers, analysts, coordinators. Everyone depended on her. Everyone waited for her decisions. The work was challenging, constant negotiations with clients, presentations, reports, planning. Tatiana handled it all. She knew how to approach people, how to persuade. When a client refused, she didn't give up. She'd call again, offer different options, look for compromises. Management valued her for results. The sales department, under her leadership, brought the company a third of its profits. Her salary of $50,000 consisted of a base salary, bonuses, and commissions. The base was $18,000. The rest was a percentage of sales. In good months, she'd make $60,000 or even $70,000. In bad months, less, but it never dropped below $40,000. She spent money wisely. A third went to savings, a third to living expenses, the remainder to pleasures. By age 32, she had saved almost $200,000. She was planning to buy an apartment, but wasn't rushing. She wanted to find something truly worthwhile. Her friends envied her. Tanya, you live like a man. Work, money, no problems. Tatiana would shrug. What's wrong with that? I like it. On weekends, she'd visit her mother or go out with friends. Movies, cafes, sometimes bowling. Nothing special, just relaxation. She didn't look for men. If someone approached her, she'd chat. But it never went beyond a couple of dates. Nothing clicked. Her mother would sometimes ask, Tanya, when are you getting married? Tatiana would wave it off. When I meet someone normal, Vera would shake her head. Normal ones are rare. Be careful not to make a mistake. Tatiana didn't think she'd make a mistake. She considered herself smart enough to recognize a problematic person. Everything changed in March of last year. At a business technology expo, she met Max Tarasenko, tall, athletic, with a pleasant smile. He worked as a mid-level manager at a logistics company. According to him, he earned $12,000 a year. Not rich, but it would do for a start. The expo was held in a large conference hall. Stands, presentations, crowds of people. Tatiana was representing her company, talking about new products. Max approached the stand toward lunchtime when the main flow of visitors had subsided. "Good afternoon. May I ask a few questions?" Tatiana looked up. A tall man about 35 in a business suit with a short haircut looked interested but not pushy. "Of course, I'm listening." He asked about one of the products, clarified details, requested a price list. He spoke competently, asked intelligent questions. Tatiana explained, showed the presentation, gave him her business card. "If you have any more questions, definitely call." He smiled and extended his hand. Max, Tatiana, they shook hands. He held her palm for a second longer than necessary, but didn't overdo it. He nodded and left. Tatiana watched him go and thought, "Seems like a normal guy." He called 2 days later, asked about the product, clarified prices, then at the end of the conversation added, "Listen, could I invite you to a cafe?" Not about work, just because. Tatiana thought for a moment. She usually refused such offers, but Max seemed pleasant. "Okay, when?" "Tomorrow evening." They agreed. They met at a small cafe downtown. Max arrived on time, brought flowers. Not a huge bouquet, just 5 tulips. Tatiana appreciated it. He wasn't trying to impress, just did something nice. They talked easily. Max told her about his work in logistics, how he started as a warehouse worker, then worked his way up to manager. He spoke without bragging, just stating facts. He asked about her life, listened attentively, didn't interrupt. "Why IT sales?" he asked with interest. Got into it by accident. "After college, I started working as a secretary at a company. Then they offered to try sales. I tried it, liked it, learned, grew, and here I am." "So you achieved everything yourself?" "Yes, me too. My father died young. My mother raised me alone. There was no money. I started working at 16. First odd jobs, then a real job. Studied part-time, and here I am." Tatiana nodded. Similar backgrounds. That connected them. They met again a week later, then again. They went to movies, walked in the park, had dinner at cafes. Max didn't push, didn't pry into her personal life, didn't try to control her. Tatiana relaxed. For the first time in a long time, she felt comfortable with a man. After a month, he kissed her. It was evening after a movie. They were walking down the street, talking about the film. Max stopped, turned her toward him, leaned in. Tatiana didn't pull away. The kiss was tender, without pressure. "Sorry if it was the wrong time," he said. "It was the right time," she replied. 2 months later, they started officially dating. Max introduced her to his colleagues, she to hers. Her friends approved. "He's a good guy, Tanya. Keep him." Tatiana didn't rush. She watched, observed, evaluated. Max didn't drink, didn't smoke, went to work regularly. On weekends, he'd sometimes visit his mother to help her around the house. Tatiana thought this was right. Mother is sacred. They'd been dating for 3 months. Max behaved normally, didn't pry, didn't try to control her, didn't demand constant attention. He worked, lived with his mother in a 1-bedroom apartment on the outskirts, was saving for his own place. He said his father had died 5 years ago. His mother was alone. He helped her as much as could. Tatiana began noticing little things. Max often talked on the phone with his mother, every day, sometimes several times. Zenaid Peterson would call, he'd answer, talk for a long time. "What, Mom?" "Yes, I'll buy it." "Okay, I'll stop by." "Don't worry. Your mom calling?" Tatiana asked once. "Yes, asking me to buy something. She calls often." "Well, she lives alone." "She worries." Tatiana nodded. Understandable. But inside, a slight unease was born. She also noticed that Max avoided talking about the future. When she asked where they'd live after the wedding, he'd answer evasively, "We'll rent something." He didn't talk about his own apartment, though he'd mentioned before that he was saving. "Do you have any savings?" Tatiana asked directly. Well, how much? Max hesitated. $30,000. How many years did you save that? About 5, Tatiana calculated. $30,000 in 5 years with a salary of $12,000. That's very little. Even saving $1,000 a month, there should be more. Where's the rest? Well, you have to live and help Mom, Tatiana added. Max nodded. And Mom, she said nothing. Helping your mother is normal, but if a guy at 34 has only saved $30,000, that's concerning, right? Tatiana said. Mother is sacred. Max smiled. Tatiana saw Max's mother, Zenaide Peterson, for months into their relationship. A short, plump woman, about 60 with a short haircut and a disgruntled face, met her son's bride-to-be with suspicion. Looking her U-pan down, Zenaide's apartment was 1 bedroom, but furnished quite nicely. A new TV, leather sofa, modern kitchen. Tatiana was surprised. You can't buy that on a pension. Come in, Zenaide said, letting them inside. Tatiana took off her shoes and went into the room. Max fussed. Mom, this is Tanya. Tanya, this is Mom. Very nice to meet you. Tatiana said politely. Zenaide nodded without smiling. Where do you work? She asked as soon as Tatiana crossed the threshold. At an IT company. I manage the sales department. What's your salary? Tatiana frowned slightly. The question was too direct for a first meeting. Sufficient, she answered shortly. I'm asking because I want to know if you can support a family if needed. Max is my golden boy, but he doesn't earn much. Mom, why are you doing this? Max was embarrassed. What's wrong? It's a normal question. Nowadays women need to earn as much as men if they want to live well. Tatiana said nothing, though she wanted to object but restrained herself. Not the place, not the time. Zenaide invited them to the table, which was abundantly set. Salads, hot dishes, pies, cake. Tatiana noted that the food was expensive. Red fish, shrimp, quality meat. You can't buy that on a pension. You cook deliciously, she said politely. Thank you. I try for my Max. He loves to eat well. Max smiled and helped himself to seconds. The conversation didn't flow. Zenaide talked more than she listened. She talked about neighbors who were noisy at night, about a saleswoman at the store who was rude, about prices that kept rising. Tatiana nodded along, but wasn't interested. Do you have parents? The mother-in-law asked. My mother. My father left when I was little. Left. So you grew up without a father. That must have been hard. It was fine. Mom managed. What does your mother do? She runs a ranch, lives in a small town. Zenaide grimaced. A ranch. So she's a country woman. Tatiana felt a sting. There was contempt in her mother-in-law's voice. Yes, from the country. So what? Nothing. Just interesting. The atmosphere was tense. Zenaide spent the whole evening either criticizing neighbors or complaining about her health or giving Max orders. Bring this. Do that. He obeyed unquestioningly, Tatiana observed. Max is 34 years old, but he acts like a teenager in front of his mother. Gets up at the first word, runs to do it. Zenaide was clearly used to giving orders. By the end of the evening, Tatiana was tired. She wanted to leave, but Zenaide kept them another hour, talking about her ailments. Max listened, sympathized, promised to buy medicine. Give me money, I'll buy it myself, his mother said. How much do you need? $1,000. Max pulled out his wallet and counted out the bills. Tatiana watched silently. $1,000 for medicine. A lot. Very much as they were leaving. Tatiana said, Your mother is kind of strange. She's just worried. I'm her only one. She'll get used to it. Will she? Did Zenaide get used to it? That's a question. But the relationship with Max continued. 6 months later he proposed. Nothing romantic. He just said one evening, Let's get married. We'll rent an apartment together. It'll be easier. Tatiana thought about it. Max was a normal guy. Didn't drink, didn't cheat, didn't cause drama. Maybe it really was worth trying? She was already 32. Time to decide. Okay, she agreed. The wedding was modest. About 30 guests, a cafe, simple feast. Tatiana wore a beige dress, Max a suit. Vera came, congratulated them, hugged her daughter. Be happy, Tanya. But remember, if anything happens, come home. I'll always take you in. Mom, everything will be fine. Vera looked at her son-in-law with a long gaze, nodded, and said nothing. Zenaid was loud at the wedding, hugging everyone, telling everyone what a wonderful son she had, how she raised him alone. She approached Tatiana 3 times, each time with the same question. When will you have grandchildren? We'll see, Tatiana answered. We'll see nothing. You need to have them. Max is already 34, I'm 60. I want to see grandchildren while I'm still alive. Tatiana gritted her teeth, but said nothing. No point in arguing at your own wedding. They rented a 2-bedroom apartment in a residential area. Tatiana paid 2/3, Max 1/3. They agreed on that right away. He didn't object. Fair, he said. The first months, they lived quietly. Tatiana worked, came home tired in the evening, cooked dinner. Max helped, washed dishes, took out trash, went to the store. Sex was rare, but that didn't bother Tatiana. The main thing was they didn't fight, didn't annoy each other. Zenaid called every day. Max would talk with her at length, discuss something, laugh. Tatiana didn't pay attention. Let him talk to his mother. 6 months later, Tatiana realized she was pregnant. The test showed 2 lines. She sat in the bathroom, looking at this piece of plastic and thinking, well, now a different life begins. It's not that she didn't want a child, she did, but not now. She wanted to live for herself a bit more, save more, prepare. But if it happened, then it's meant to be, she told Max in the evening. He was happy, hugged her, kissed her. We need to call Mom. She's been waiting for this, he called. Zenaid screamed with happiness. She demanded that Tatiana quit work immediately. What work? The baby is more important. You need to take care of yourself. I'll work until maternity leave, Tatiana said firmly. What? What about the baby's health? Everything's fine with the health. The doctor said there are no contraindications. Zenaid snorted and hung up. From that day on, it began. Her mother-in-law called every day, gave advice, criticized. You work too much. You don't eat right. You don't rest enough. Tatiana listened silently, then hung up. Max took his mother's side. She's just worried. Try to understand. Tatiana didn't argue, just did things her way. She worked until the 8th month. Her belly was big. It became hard to move, but she managed. Colleagues offered to help, but she refused. She'd do it herself. The boss called her in before she went on leave. Tanya, you did great holding the line until the end. Rest, then come back. Your position is waiting. Thank you. I'll be back. Maternity leave pay was laughable. $3,000 a month. You can't live on that. Tatiana wasn't worried. She had savings. $200,000 in her account. That would be enough for a while. Zenaid came twice a week, bringing food that Tatiana didn't ask for. Soups, borscht, cutlets. You need to eat well. The baby needs vitamins. Thank you, Tatiana would say politely and put the containers in the refrigerator. Her mother-in-law would look around the apartment, commenting, It's dusty here. Should be cleaned. Tatiana would clench her teeth. Dusty? She cleaned yesterday. I'll manage myself. Well, as you wish. Vera came less often, but she was more helpful. She brought fruit, milk, honey, sat next to her daughter, talked, didn't push advice, just was there. How are you, Tanya? Fine, Mom. Max is helping. Is he? Vera looked at her daughter with a long gaze, but said nothing. Labor started at night. Contractions were sharp, painful. Tatiana woke Max. They went to the hospital. She gave birth for 8 hours without pain relief as she wanted. She thought she could handle it. She did, but barely. Arthur was born. A strong, healthy boy. Vera came the next day. A strong boy, she said. Tanya, if you need anything, call. I'll help however I can. Thanks, Mom. The first months with the baby were hard. Arthur slept poorly, cried often, demanded attention. Tatiana got up at night, fed him, rocked him, put him back to bed. Max helped rarely. I have to get up early for work, he'd say and turn to the wall. Tatiana didn't argue. He really did have work. But the anger was building up. Zenaide came often, but was little help. She'd take the grandson in her arms, coo with him, then give him back. Well, I have to go. Things at home. And she'd leave. When Arthur was 3 months old, Tatiana decided to go back to work. Maternity pay was a joke, and they couldn't live on Max's salary alone. She found a nanny, a woman about 50 with experience and recommendations. Salary, $800 a week. The nanny was named Ludmila Ivanovna. Calm, balanced, with 2 grown children. Tatiana checked her documents, recommendations, talked to previous employers. Everyone spoke well of her. Why a nanny? Zenaide was surprised. I can babysit, but you said you have things to do. Well, I can rearrange. The nanny's already hired. Thanks for the offer. Zenaide was offended, but didn't argue. Tatiana felt relief. At least one problem solved. Ludmila Ivanovna turned out to be a godsend. She came at 8 a.m., stayed until 7 p.m., fed Arthur, walked with him, played, put him to sleep. Tatiana could work peacefully, knowing her son was fine. Going back to work was a breath of fresh air. Tatiana felt like a person again, not just an appendage to a child. She talked with people about business again, about plans, about numbers. Her brain started working, energy returned. Her boss was glad she was back. Tanya, so good that you're back. Without you, it's been chaos here. The temporary manager couldn't handle it at all. What happened? Everything. Clients are leaving. Plans aren't being met. You'll get up to speed quickly. I will. In the 2 months she was gone, a lot had changed. 2 major clients left for competitors. Sales dropped 30%. The team was demotivated. Tatiana rolled up her sleeves. The first week she worked 12 hours a day, called clients, arranged meetings, restored connections, gathered the team for planning meetings, set tasks, controlled execution. After a month, the situation improved. One of the departed clients came back. They found 3 new ones. Sales went up. Management was pleased. Her salary of $50,000 came regularly to her card. Tatiana paid for the apartment, the nanny, food, clothes for Arthur, utilities. Money was enough, but not as freely as before. $800 a week for the nanny. That's $3,200 a month. Plus the apartment at $5,000. Plus food, clothes, diapers, utilities. Less was left than she wanted. Max gave his $12,000 to household expenses. Or rather, he was supposed to give it. In fact, he gave less and less. I have expenses, he'd say. What expenses? Well, various. Gas, lunches, and... Mom, he looked away. Tatiana didn't insist, as long as her money was enough. But she stopped saving. Savings were melting. From $200,000, $150,000 remained. Another 6 months, and there'd be $100,000. That was scary that a month after Tatiana returned to work, Max came home with a proposal. Listen, I've been thinking. Maybe we should get a mortgage, buy our own apartment. Tatiana looked up from her laptop. A mortgage? What will we pay with? Well, together. You earn well. I'll pay too. We'll manage. Max, right now, all our money goes to living expenses. Where would we get money for a mortgage? But we could economize somehow. Tatiana sighed. Let's not for now. Let's wait until Arthur grows up a bit. Max was offended, but agreed. 2 more months passed. One day Tatiana went to the ATM to withdraw money. She inserted her card, entered the PIN. The screen showed, Operation Impossible. Contact the bank. She frowned. Her salary should have arrived 3 days ago. She called the bank. Good afternoon. I'm having trouble with my card. Please provide the number. Tatiana gave it. Just a moment. So, operations on this card are blocked. Per your application. What application? I didn't submit anything. 1 second. The application is from the 15th. You indicated that you wanted to transfer all funds to another account. Tatiana felt cold inside. What account? The operator gave a number. Tatiana didn't recognize it. That's not my account. I didn't submit any such application. Return my money. I understand your concern, but the application was signed by you with a notary seal. That's impossible. I didn't sign any application. Come to the branch, we'll figure it out. Tatiana arrived at the bank an hour later. They showed her the documents. The signature looked like hers, but Tatiana knew for sure she hadn't signed it. The notary seal was there too. Everything looked legal. Who did this? She asked in a voice trembling with rage. I can't say, but the application was made in your name. I'm going to the police. This is fraud. You have the right, but for now we can't unblock operations without a court decision. Tatiana left the bank shaking with anger. Someone had accessed her account, forged her signature, stolen her money. She immediately suspected Max. She returned home. He was sitting on the couch, watching TV. Arthur was asleep in his crib. Max, come here. He got up and came over. What happened? My money from my card is gone. Someone made a transfer to another account. Was it you? Max went pale. It was me. But I wanted to do what's best. Tatiana felt like she was about to explode. You stole my money. How dare you? I didn't steal. Mom needed money. For medicine, for repairs. She asked for help. I couldn't refuse. You gave MY's salary to your mother. Not all of it. Part of it. How much? $15,000. Tatiana almost choked with rage. You took $15,000 of MY money without asking and gave it to your mother. Are you out of your mind? Tanya, you earn well. You don't mind. But Mom, I don't mind. This is MY money. I earned it. I have a child, expenses. Where did you get the idea you could manage my money? Max stepped back. I thought you'd understand. Understand? You forged my signature. That's a crime. I can go to the police. Please don't go to the police. I'll return it. When? Soon. Mom will return it. Your mom? You seriously think she'll return it? He didn't answer. Tatiana turned and went to the bedroom, slamming the door. Her hands were shaking. She wanted to smash something, scream, hit him, but she held back. Arthur was sleeping. Can't wake the baby. The next day, Tatiana called Zenaid. Return my money. What money? The mother-in-law was surprised. The $15,000 Max gave you. Oh, that. Well, I already spent it. On medicine, on repairs. I don't care what you spent it on. Return it. Where am I going to get that kind of money now? I'm a retiree. That's not my problem. You took someone else's money without asking. That's called theft. Are you threatening me? I'm demanding your return. What's mine? Go to hell. Max is my son. He has the right to help his mother. Not with MY money. Zenaid hung up. Tatiana stood holding the phone, seething with rage. They stole her money. They stole, and don't even apologize. That evening she gave Max hell. Screamed, demanded explanations, threatened divorce. He made excuses, said he wanted to help his mother. Didn't think Tatiana would react like that. Did you think at all? She yelled. We have a child. We need money ourselves. You stole from your own son. I didn't steal. I borrowed. You borrow with permission, and you forged a signature. That's a crime. Max was silent, looking at the floor. If you don't return the money, I'm filing for divorce. Tatiana said coldly, I'll return it. I promise. But the money didn't come back. A week passed, 2 weeks, a month. Tatiana demanded. Max promised, but nothing happened. She tried to economize, but the $50,000 disappeared like water. Apartment, food, nanny, clothes for Arthur, utilities, gas. Very little was left. And then Max started giving less and less money to the household budget. I have expenses, he'd say. What expenses? Well, various. Tatiana didn't ask anymore. She just tightened her belt point 2 months after the card incident. Tatiana happened to see Zenaid near an expensive restaurant. Her mother-in-law was coming out wearing a new fur coat with a new handbag. Got into a taxi and left. Tatiana was stunned. A new fur coat on a woman who supposedly spends all her money on medicine. She called Max. Your mother's walking around in a new fur coat. Is that with my money? I don't know. Maybe she saved up on a pension? Max, do you even think about what you're saying? Tanya, don't get worked up. Maybe someone gave it to her. Who? Santa Claus. Max hung up. Tatiana stood in the middle of the street, shaking with anger. They're robbing her, using her, and not even hiding it. She came home and told Max, "If you touch my money one more time, I'm leaving with the child." "You won't leave. You want Arthur to grow up with a father." Tatiana froze. He was right. She didn't want her son to grow up without a father. She herself grew up without a father and knew how hard that was. "Fine," she said quietly. "But not one more cent of my money to your mother. Deal." But Max didn't keep his word. A month later, Tatiana discovered that her gold bracelet, a gift from her mother, had disappeared. She turned the whole apartment upside down, but didn't find it. She asked Max. The bracelet was dear to her not for the money, but for the memory. Her mother had given it to her for her 18th birthday. A simple gold bracelet without stones, without frills, but with an engraving. To mid-otter. Tatiana wore it constantly. The last time she saw the bracelet was a week ago. She took it off in the evening, put it in the box on the nightstand. In the morning she was going to put on, but was late for work and forgot. Then there were things, worries. She only remembered today. She opened the box. Empty. "Max, have you seen my bracelet?" "No." "Haven't seen it." "Max, it couldn't just disappear. It was in the box. Maybe you lost it." "I didn't lose it. It was in the box." Max shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe the nanny took it." Tatiana went cold. "Ludmila Ivanovna? That can't be. She's been checked, has recommendations. People are different. Ludmila Ivanovna didn't take it." "I'm sure. How do you know?" "I know. Not her." "Then I don't know where it is." Tatiana didn't believe him. There was guilt in his eyes. She knew that look. "Max, if you took it, say so." "It's a gift from my mother." "It's dear to me. I didn't take it." She said nothing. Searching further was pointless. A week later, Tatiana happened to stop by Zinaid's house, bringing Arthur. Her mother-in-law had asked to see her grandson. On Zinaid's arm was that very bracelet. Tatiana froze, staring at her mother-in-law's arm, not believing her eyes. "That's my bracelet," she said, pointing at the arm. Zinaid looked at the bracelet, then at Tatiana. "What do you mean, yours?" "Max gave this to me. He couldn't have given it to you." "It's my bracelet, a gift from my mother." "Well, I don't know. Max said he bought it." "Pretty, isn't it?" Tatiana clenched her fist so hard her nails dug into her palms. "It's my bracelet. It has an engraving. Look." Zinaid turned the bracelet, read, "To my daughter." She shrugged. "Maybe Max asked you for it, wanted to give it to me as a gift?" "Asked." "He stole it. Don't yell at me. I have nothing to do with this." "Return the bracelet immediately." "I won't return it. It was given to me." Tatiana turned and left without saying another word. She was afraid she'd say something she'd regret later. At tea home, she gave her husband such a scandal that the neighbors banged on the wall. "You stole my bracelet and gave it to your mother. Are you completely sick?" "She liked it. I don't care what she liked. It's my bracelet. But you have other jewelry. I don't have any others. And even if I did, this is mine. You have no right to take my things." Okay. I'll return it." "When?" "Soon. I'll talk to Mom." But the bracelet wasn't returned. A week later, Zinaid said she'd lost it. "What can I do? It wasn't on purpose. I must have dropped it when I went to the store." Tatiana knew it was a lie, but she couldn't prove anything. She stopped making scenes, just became colder, toward her husband, toward her mother-in-law, toward the whole situation. The bracelet wasn't just jewelry. It was a connection to her mother, to the past. And Max took it away, gave it to a stranger. Arthur turned one. Tatiana still worked, earned, carried the family. Max gave less and less money, making excuses about delayed salary. Zinaid continued to visit, but Tatiana no longer let her pass the threshold. "What's wrong?" The mother-in-law was surprised. "Nothing. It's just inconvenient for me. Come on, I'm the grandmother. A grandmother who wears my bracelet." Zinaid fell silent and stopped coming. Life turned into routine. Work, home, child, work again. Tatiana didn't complain, just did what was needed. Max spent more and more time at his mother's. He'd come home late, saying he was helping her with repairs. Tatiana didn't ask. She didn't care anymore when Arthur was a year and 3 months old. Tatiana got a call from the bank. "Good afternoon. We're calling about an overdue loan." "What loan?" "I didn't take out a loan. A loan in your name was issued 3 months ago. Amount, $40,000. You haven't made payments for 2 months." Tatiana felt the ground slipping away. "I didn't take out a loan." "This is a mistake. We have your signature, a copy of your passport. Send me the documents." The documents arrived by email an hour later. Tatiana opened the files and started reading. Loan agreement issued 3 months ago. Amount, $40,000 at 20% annual interest. Term, 5 years. Her signature, her passport data. Money transferred to Zenaid Peterson Tarasenko's account. Tatiana sat at the table, looking at the documents, unable to believe it. Max had taken out a loan in her name, took $40,000 and gave it to his mother. Without asking, without permission. Just took it and gave it away. Her hands were shaking. She wanted to scream, break something, hit him, but Arthur was sleeping in the next room. "Kent," she called Max at work. "Come home immediately. What happened?" "Come." Her voice was such that Max didn't ask questions. He arrived an hour later, saw her face, and went pale. "You took out a loan in my name." He was silent. $40,000. Gave it to your mother. "Tanya, I wanted to—" "Be quiet!" she screamed so loud he flinched. "Be quiet before I do something I'll regret." Max fell silent, looking at the floor. "You took out a loan in my name without my consent. That's a criminal offense. I can go to the police, and you'll be put in jail. Understand? In jail for fraud. Please don't go to the police." "Why shouldn't I?" "You stole $40,000 from me. Forged a signature. Took out a loan in my name. I didn't steal. I borrowed. For me, without asking. That is theft. Mom urgently needed money. For surgery." "What surgery?" Max hesitated, looked away. Well, for her eyes. "Show me the doctor's note." "There is no note because there was no surgery. You just gave her my money." Again, Max was silent, lips pressed together. "Where's the money?" "Mom spent it." "On what?" "Well, on various things. On repairs, on furniture, on a new coat, on restaurants, on taxis." Max didn't answer. Tatiana sat on a chair, closed her eyes. $40,000. The loan payment is $1,000 a month. 5 years of paying for someone else's expenses. For your mother's whims. Return the money. Tomorrow, or I'm going to the police. Where am I going to get $40,000? That's not my problem. Get it from your mother. She received it. She already spent it. Where will she get it? Let her sell her new furniture, her coat, everything she bought. Tanya, be human. Human? You stole $40,000 from me, and you're asking me to be human. Max didn't answer, looking at the floor. Tatiana looked at her husband and for the first time thought, why do I need him? But then she remembered Arthur. The boy loved his father. Max played with him, read him books, put him to bed. A child shouldn't grow up without a father. Fine, she said wearily. I'll pay off the loan myself. But you don't touch my money ever again. Understand? Understood. If you take anything else without asking, I'm leaving with the child and going to the police. Understand? It won't happen again. She didn't believe him, but there was no choice. Divorce? With a small child? Arthur would grow up without a father, like she did. No, she didn't want that for her son. 6 months later. The situation only got worse. Tatiana was paying off the loan, working, raising her son. Money was catastrophically short. From her $50,000 annual salary, her monthly breakdown was $5,000 for the apartment, $1,000 for the loan, $2,000 for Arthur's daycare. They put Arthur in daycare at 1.5 years, $4,000 for food, $1,000 for utilities, $2,000 for clothes and other things. That left $35,000 from her annual salary. Of that, Max was supposed to contribute his $12,000 annual income. He gave $2,000 to $3,000. The rest went somewhere Tatiana stopped buying clothes for herself. The last dress she bought was a year ago. She bought the cheapest cosmetics. She didn't go to cafes, didn't take taxis, economized on everything. Her savings melted away. From $200,000, $80,000 remained. One more year and nothing would be left. She stopped saving. Just lived paycheck to paycheck. Worked, came home, fed her son, put him to bed. Max hardly helped. He'd come home late, saying he was delayed at work. Tatiana didn't believe him, but didn't want to ask. He'd lie anyway. Zenaide continued buying herself new things. Once Tatiana saw her mother-in-law at a shopping mall. She was coming out of an expensive store with shopping bags. Tatiana approached. "Living well," she said. Zenaide smiled, not embarrassed in the least. "You have to treat yourself sometimes. On my money. This is Max's money. He's my son. He helps me. These are MY earnings. I earn them. Max gives you what he steals. He steals from me. Such rude words. He's just helping his mother." "Helping? I'm paying off a loan he took out in my name. $40,000. Does that concern you?" "Why should I be concerned? Max is an adult. He decides for himself." Tatiana turned and left before she said something she shouldn't. She was boiling with rage. Her mother-in-law wasn't even ashamed, felt no remorse whatsoever. At home, she asked Max directly, "Are you still giving your mother money?" "A little. She needs help, and your son doesn't." "Arthur has everything he needs, on MY money. You buy everything for him on my money. Where are you?" "I pay for the apartment. You don't pay for the apartment. You give $2,000, and the apartment costs $5,000. But I don't have more. Because you give it to your mother." Max was silent, staring at the TV. Tatiana waved her hand. Pointless. He'd never change. Arthur turned too. He started talking, going to daycare. Tatiana would take him in the morning, pick him up in the evening. Max hardly helped. "I'm tired from work," he'd say. Money was catastrophically short. Tatiana bought only the bare essentials. Sometimes the refrigerator was almost empty, but she managed somehow. For Arthur's sake. He shouldn't grow up without a father. Another 2 months passed. The money situation didn't improve. Tatiana economized on everything. Bought only the most necessary things. Gave up the nanny. Took Arthur to daycare herself. Max still gave pennies point one day the neighbor, Aunt Lena, knocked on the door. "Tanya, may I?" "Come in." Aunt Lena came in, hesitated. A woman about 50, lived 2 apartments over, always said hello, sometimes chatted in the elevator. "Listen, it's not my business, of course, but Arthur came to me yesterday asking for food. Said he was hungry at home." Tatiana went cold, her heart sank. "What?" "Yeah." Knocked on the door, said, "Aunt Lena, please give me food." I fed him, of course. Gave him soup bread. He ate like he was starving. But you should keep an eye on that. The child is little, only 2 years old. "Thank you, Aunt Lena. I'll watch it." The neighbor left. Tatiana stood in the hallway, fists clenched. Arthur asked neighbors for food. Her son, her child, went hungry. She went into the room. Arthur was playing on the floor with toy cars. He saw his mom and smiled. "Mommy." "Arthur, did you go to Aunt Lena's yesterday?" The boy nodded. "Uh-huh." "Why?" "Wanted to eat. There was no food at home." Tatiana knelt in front of her son, took his hands. "Arthur, who told you there was no food?" Arthur was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "Daddy said there's no food." Tatiana knelt in front of her son, took his hands. "Arthur, if you want to eat, always tell me. Understand?" "Okay, Mommy." She hugged him, pressed him close. A child shouldn't ask neighbors for food. It's humiliating. It's shameful. That evening, when Max came home, Tatiana pounced on him. "Arthur asked the neighbors for food. You understand. My child was starving." "Come on, he wasn't starving. He just wanted to eat. He shouldn't ask strangers for food. It's humiliating. He's 2 years old. So buy him food. With what money? You don't give me a cent." "I don't have money because you give it all to your mother." I'm helping her, but not your own son. Your son, when hungry, asked neighbors for food. Aren't you ashamed? Max fell silent, turned away. Are you even human? Tatiana asked quietly, do you have a heart? He didn't answer. Tatiana turned and left. She wanted to hit him, scream, break something, but she held back. Arthur was sleeping. The next day, she picked up her son from daycare and took him to the store. Bought groceries with the last money before payday. Meat, vegetables, grains, milk, bread. The bare essentials. Mommy, can we buy donuts? Arthur asked, looking at the display. Tatiana looked at the price. $30 for a package. She had $50 left. We'll buy them, sweetie. She bought the donuts. Arthur ate them in the car, happy. Tatiana watched him and thought, how much longer am I going to put up with this? But again she stopped herself. For Arthur's sake. He shouldn't grow up without a father. Even one like this. Another week passed. Tatiana got her paycheck, gave half to the loan, a quarter to the apartment, the rest to food and daycare. Almost nothing was left. The AT work problem started. Tatiana snapped at subordinates, couldn't concentrate, made mistakes. One of the managers didn't meet his target. She gave him a dressing down in front of the whole department. The guy was offended and complained to management. The director called her in. Tanya, what's wrong with you? People are complaining. Sorry. I'm tired. Just tired. You were just on maternity leave. You rested. Tatiana smiled bitterly. Problems at home? No, everything's fine. The director looked at her carefully. If you need help, say so. You're a valuable employee. I don't want to lose you. Thanks. Everything's under control, but nothing was under control. Tatiana was holding on by a thread. Work, home, child, constant lack of money, endless conflicts with Max. She wasn't sleeping, wasn't resting, was constantly on edge. One evening, as she was putting Arthur to bed, her son asked, Mommy, are you crying? Tatiana wiped her eyes. No, sweetie. Just tired. Don't cry, Mommy. I love you. She hugged him, pressed him close. For him. Everything for him. Max came home again with empty pockets. Where's the money? Spend it. On what? On Mom. She needed it, and your son doesn't need it. Tanya, come on. Mom's my mother. I can't refuse her. But you can refuse your own family. That's different. Tatiana looked at him and thought, that's it. Enough. But then she remembered Arthur again and stayed silent. A little more. Just a little more patience. For my son. The following weeks dragged on painfully. The situation didn't change. Tatiana worked, carried the family, economized on everything. Max gave money to his mother. The refrigerator was half empty. Arthur ate what there was. Vera called every week, asking how things were. Fine, Mom. Tatiana would answer. She didn't want to complain. Her mother already worked so much. Why burden her with her problems too? Tanya, you sound tired. Maybe come rest. No time, Mom. Work. Well, at least bring Arthur. Haven't seen my grandson in so long. I'll bring him this weekend. But on the weekends, there was always one thing or another. Tatiana kept postponing the trip. She was ashamed to admit to her mother that nothing had worked out, that her husband turned out to be a thief, that she lived in near poverty despite earning $50,000. Zenaid continued to visit. Not often, once every 2 to 3 weeks. She'd bring food, leave it in the kitchen, and leave. Tatiana would throw that food away. She didn't want anything from that woman. Why throw it away? Max was surprised. It's good food. I don't want to eat what's bought with my money. Well, as you wish, the savings were gone. From $200,000, nothing remained. Tatiana lived paycheck to paycheck. No luxuries, only necessities. Tatiana looked at her son and thought, how much longer? One morning, as Tatiana was getting Arthur ready for daycare, the phone rang. Her mother, Tanya, I'm coming to see you. I'll pick up Arthur for the weekend. Mom, you don't have to. We'll bring him ourselves. Don't have to. Why? Well, you don't have time. Tanya, what are you hiding? I'm not hiding anything. Don't lie to me. I can hear it in your voice. What happened? Everything's fine, Mom. Good, then expect me tomorrow. I'm coming in the morning. Tatiana wanted to object, but her mother had already hung up. She remembered, yes, they had talked a week ago. Her mother had asked to bring Arthur for a couple of days. Tatiana had agreed, then forgot in the chaos. That evening, Tatiana tried to tidy up. She cleaned the apartment, washed the floors, wiped the dust, opened the refrigerator. Almost empty. Just a carton of milk, a piece of cheese, and a few eggs. 3 days until payday, no money. She wanted to run to the store, buy at least something, but there was no money at all. Not a cent. She spent the last 1,000 yesterday on diapers for Arthur. Max, give me at least $1,000. Mom's coming tomorrow. The refrigerator's empty. I don't have any. How don't you have any? You got paid the day before yesterday. I spent it. On what? On Mom. She asked. Tatiana closed her eyes, clenched her hands. Of course. Mother's more important. Fine. We'll manage. In the morning, Tatiana got up early, got herself ready, washed Arthur, dressed him, waited for her mother. Vera arrived at 10 a.m. Tatiana opened the door. Hi, Mom. Come in. Yes, of course. Come in. Vera came in, looked around, took off her boots, went to the kitchen. Want tea? Later. Let me see my grandson first. Arthur ran out of the room, threw himself at his grandmother. Grandma Vera! Hello, sunshine. How are you? Good. Vera hugged her grandson, kissed him, looked around. Her gaze stopped on the refrigerator. Can I get a snack? Of course. Right away. Tatiana opened the refrigerator. It was empty. Just a carton of milk, a piece of cheese, and a few eggs. Vera approached, looked over her daughter's shoulder, was silent, then asked, Daughter, why is the child hungry? You earn $50,000 a year. Tatiana froze, didn't know what to answer. Then Max came out of the bathroom, scratching his belly. He saw his mother-in-law and nodded. Hello. Vera looked at him. Max, why is there no food in the house? Max shrugged. Tanya didn't buy any. Where's the money? What money? My daughter's money. She earns $50,000. Where does it go? Max smirked brazenly. I give all her salary to my mother. And the child can go hungry. Silence hung in the room. Arthur grew quiet, pressed against his grandmother. Tatiana stood, unable to move. Vera slowly turned to her son-in-law, looked at him for a long time, silently, then bent down and took off her boots. Heavy winter boots with a thick sole. What are you doing? Max didn't understand. Vera stepped toward him and with all her might hit him in the head with the boot. Max howled, grabbed his head. Vera hit him again and again. He tried to fight back, but she beat him methodically without stopping. On the back, on the arms, on the legs. Max whimpered, fell to the floor, tried to crawl away. What are you doing? Stop. You starved my grandson. Vera yelled, continuing to beat him. You gave my daughter's money to your mother. Are you even human or what? Max covered himself with his arms, whined. Stop! It hurts. Hurts. Didn't it hurt my daughter? Didn't it hurt my grandson to go hungry? She beat him for another 2 minutes, then stopped. Max lay on the floor, whimpering, holding his head. Get up, Vera ordered. Max got up, swaying. Now you're going to your mother and returning every cent, understood? Where am I going to get it? Vera raised the boot again. Max recoiled. Understood, understood. Go quickly, and be back here with the money in an hour. Max grabbed his jacket and ran out of the apartment. Tatiana stood by the refrigerator, unable to move. Vera put on her boots, approached her daughter, and hugged her. It's over, sweetheart. It's over. Tatiana didn't cry, just stood there, hugging her mother. 40 minutes later, Max returned. In his hands was a bag of money. Here. Everything that was there. He handed it to Tatiana. Tatiana took it, counted. $50,000 exactly. All her money that he'd given to his mother. Good, Vera said. Now pack your things and leave. What do you mean leave? Divorce. Today, tomorrow Tatiana files the papers. But no buts. You starved my grandson. You robbed my daughter. You don't live here anymore. Max looked at Tatiana. Tanya, leave, she said quietly. But Arthur, I'm his father. You'll pay child support. That's all. Max wanted to say something, but saw his mother-in-law's look and fell silent. He went to the room, packed his things, left. The door closed behind him. Tatiana sank into a chair. Mom, I would have left long ago, but I didn't want Arthur to grow up without a father. Vera sat down next to her, took her daughter's hand. Tanya, it's better without a father than with one like that. A child doesn't need someone who starves him. Tatiana nodded. Her mother was right. The next day she filed for divorce. The process was quick. Max didn't resist. The court ordered him to pay child support, 25% of his salary. It wasn't much, but better than nothing. Zenaide called, screamed, accused Tatiana of all sins. Tatiana listened silently, then simply blocked her number. 6 months passed after the divorce. Tatiana lived alone with Arthur, worked, raised her son, managed. There was more money because there was no Max draining everything from her. Max paid child support irregularly, but Tatiana didn't chase him. She had enough. She bought an apartment with a mortgage, started saving for Arthur's future. Arthur asked about his father rarely. Max came once a month, spent a couple of hours with his son, then left. Arthur didn't miss him. He had his mom. He had Grandma Vera who came every weekend. That was enough. One day, Tatiana ran into Max on the street. He looked bad, gaunt, aged. He saw her, tried to talk. Tanya, how are you? Fine. How's Arthur? Good. Maybe I could stop by sometime. If you want to see your son, call ahead. Max nodded, wanted to say something but changed his mind, turned, and left. Tatiana watched him go and felt nothing. No anger, no pity. Just emptiness. That evening her mother called. How are you, sweetheart? Good, Mom. Everything's good. How's Arthur? Good too. Growing. That's wonderful. Come visit this weekend. We will. Tatiana hung up, went to Arthur. He was sitting on the floor, playing with cars. He saw his mom and smiled. Mama, look. I built a garage. Well done, sweetie. She sat down next to him and hugged him. Arthur pressed against her. Mom, are we going to Grandma Vera's? Yes, yay. Tatiana smiled. Yes, life wasn't easy. Money was still tight. Work took a lot of energy, but she was managing that on her own. Without a worthless husband, without a thieving mother-in-law. Just her and her son. And her mother was right. Better without a father than with one like that.